kind of really gets it now, and the reason he sweats so much on 60 Minutes is he knows that, he's in a fix, and that none of these deficit spending and Keynesian solutions work.
I keep thinking about that, but I think he's incapable of accepting that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine one of us saying, "Well, we've thought about this for a long time," and in the period of time between 1980 and the year 2000, gold prices didn't go up by dollars. And it was sort of, people question, well, they're still printing money. Why isn't it going up? Maybe we're all wrong on that. Would we have been easily convinced? No, I think he is hardcore. I think he believes it. I think he cannot reject all his so-called scholarly work, all his teaching and writings. I don't know how a person could do that. I would maybe think that before Greenspan dies, he might come around to going back to his roots.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they sort of brainwash themselves, that they cannot change.
What kind of response have you gotten to your wonderful suggestion about rescinding the $1.6 trillion debt to the Fed? Have you heard underground from? I bet that must have caused a tremendous amount of consternation within the Fed. What are you hearing, maybe from that channel, but certainly from your colleagues in Washington?
Not much. A lot of them are very confused about it and think that they don't want to disrupt the Fed. They don't have a real grasp of that, so I haven't had too much. I was more pleased with the many good economists of the Austrian stripe came and actually dug up some of Murray Rothbard's stuff and defended me on that, because, just common sense tells you that why should that be a real asset that has to be paid by the taxpayer? I've always assumed, if we had a monetary reform, there'd be no reason to pay it off. But because of this debt increase need, I thought, well, why don't we, it was sort of something I threw out there. Then I got to thinking, well, that would give, if we were serious here to do the right thing, that would give us a year to figure out what to do and, get the cuts done. But I don't think they're going to accept it. I don't think they're serious about it. But maybe somebody will think more about the Federal Reserve because they've heard about it.
Well, people are thinking more about it. I know you know that, and I've heard you talk about, the students, and I've seen them myself come out to greet you, and it's in the Fed. And I see the opportunistic politicians that have had an opportunity to be helpful in restoring America's prosperity, and in fact even prohibiting a lot of this nonsense from happening over the last 10, 20, or 30 years. I see, in fact, just give you an example, with a wet finger in the wind, I saw Newt Gingrich criticize the Fed for the first time in his life the other day.
Yeah, and he called for the audit. And before he did that, we were at a debate, and he came over and said, "Ronnie," he says, "you've convinced me." He says, "I think we do need to audit the Fed." so he's starting to use it. Well, that's good. And you recall, 4 years ago, they were snickering and laughing. Of course,
oh yeah,
all of us in our camp were complaining. I mean, how many years did you know there was a housing bubble? You knew about it for a good many years. So many people knew about it. But it did give our whole movement a lot of credibility. That it's only the free market Austrian economists that recognized that there was a bubble out there. So, but I keep saying, even in committee, I said, why don't you go to the people who predicted it correctly and ask them what to do instead of just continue to do the very things that caused the crisis?
Yes.
They didn't change anything. They're still spending and borrowing and printing and regulating, and so they haven't learned a thing yet.
Well, a prophet is without honor in his own land, as they say. I know people that are listening online want to hear from you, want to find out about some of the nuts and bolts and the inside nitty-gritty stuff about the campaign. So how is it going this year? Can you contrast it with 4 years ago?
Yeah, that's easy. Some people ask me about how it's doing. I said, very well, but compared to what? And I always want to. And compared to 4 years ago, it's a different world completely. Not only is it a different economic climate, a political climate, but the views now are so much more accepted, by the population. And also our organization is better. It wasn't like we quit and went away. You know, our supporters have stuck together. We've had the Campaign for Liberty. Our numbers have grown, and the fundraising is very good. We've already started with TV ads, and I've heard essentially all favorable reviews. Unfortunately, it brought up the subject of why didn't you do some of those good ads last time around? But, you know, maybe it takes a little bit of extra effort, but I'm really pleased with the ads. We're getting nothing but favorable responses, and it will help us raise money, too, to keep those ads coming.
I do know, for example, in places like Iowa, where we are focused today in our fundraising efforts, that you are getting, you're getting help from people that, are kind of would be thought of as establishment party people who see the wisdom of what you've been talking about all these years.
Yeah, and that pleases me, although, we have a lot of independents and even Democrats come over. We have a lot of young people. But now we're going and have been in this last 6 months or so been invited to many of the Republican, party functions where before we'd be excluded. We wouldn't be invited. We weren't allowed one debate, key debate. I was excluded both in New Hampshire and Iowa. I don't think that's going to happen because people said, I don't know whether they were kidding me or what. They said, it looks like Ron Paul is now going mainstream. Well, maybe the other people. Maybe the other people are going mainstream.
I think the river diverted course your way, and that's the mainstream now.
However, right? We'll get there.
Yeah, however we get there is how we get there. Well, tell me about the operations in Iowa. I know you've got good people out there, and you'll be there again. And I see your son Rand will be there in a couple of days as well.
Right. He's a hard worker, and he's out there beating the bushes for our cause. And the Ames straw vote is the 13th of August. And I think a lot of the family's going to be out there that week. And there's a debate before that. But I think I go once or twice even before that. We've been going to Iowa and New Hampshire just about every week now. And that makes a big difference. And they've added them up, and I think I've been to both New Hampshire and Iowa many, many times more than I went the entire campaign last time. So one thing is that we know that it takes a lot of hard work. I'm not running two campaigns this time, which helps. So I think everybody's very optimistic about what's happening.
Well, let's talk about that. It was, certainly a end of an era, and a little bit sad. I mean, we all understood your decision not to run again in your home district in Texas, and to concentrate on this. But we don't know how you will be replaced in the House.
Well, I work on the assumption nobody's indispensable, and by now we should have laid the groundwork. We do have some good people here. I have more good allies here than I've ever had before, with the election last year. So there's going to be some, and hopefully they'll keep coming. If it stops, then there hasn't been a revolution. Actually, a true intellectual revolution affects both parties, so I'm hoping for the days when we'll get some Democrats who'll wake up and come a little way on the economic issues and stick to their guns on civil liberties and foreign policy. So I recall so often what Nixon said, that when he decided to go along with everything the Democrats were doing, he announced we're all Keynesians now. And I think for us to be successful, we have to infiltrate in other parties as well to spread these ideas. I mean, if you have a sound money policy, it's not a partisan thing. If you have good foreign policy, it's not just for one party. So, and I think what we're talking about is very, very acceptable to both parties, especially the independents. In Iowa, there's a lot of independents in Iowa. There's a lot in New Hampshire as well. And without a presidential election this year, I think we can get some of them out for our primary.
Mm-hmm. That is, you opened the door to the one topic we haven't spent even a minute on, and I think we should talk a little bit before we part about foreign policy and war. And your leadership has been exemplary in waking people up about about the war and the foreign policy, just as it has been about monetary issues and debt and deficits and spending and more. Where do we stand from your perspective in Washington to opening enough eyes of enough officialdom so that we can end some of this madness?
Well, I think we're getting closer all the time because I think the people are sick and tired of the war, and now they're beginning to see that the war is an economic issue. I've always been annoyed when people say, well, we're going to talk tonight or have a debate on economic issues and not foreign policy, but you know we can't separate the two because foreign policy involves spending, and this causes a lot of problems at home. So, but the people are waking up, and I think that we've made great strides in this area. I have to work hard at showing that there have been other Republicans that have had these views, and I go back to H.R. Gross and Robert Taft and others, and even the founders who said that we shouldn't have this foreign policy of intervention and wasteful spending. So I think we're definitely making progress there. Today, though, the disappointment was when we were doing this little ritual on here, this cut, cap, and balance, which really isn't accomplishing anything. The cuts were very, very meager, but not one penny was cut on the militarism. It's all the other stuff, which and I think if you look at it just even politically, I would think the average person on the street today that's hurting, if he knew you could cut hundreds of billions of dollars from overseas and just bring troops home, I think that has a powerful political impact. Even if you didn't get rid of your troops, just tell them, why are they spending all this money in Germany? Germany likes it. People in Japan likes it. All that money being spent there. But it's an issue. But so far, leadership on our side of the aisle have not caught on to this yet.
Well, they will. I mean, the truth always comes out eventually. Congressman Paul, it's a great pleasure to get an opportunity to speak with you again, and you have so many admirers around the country and people in your corner that are willing to help out, to contribute right now to help get a victory in the Iowa straw poll. And we thank you for being with us on this program today. We thank you for what you do, giving voice to the principles and the issues that concern so many of us in this country and really concern the whole country and little children on the playgrounds of America today and their future prosperity. Nobody has championed our prosperity and freedom like you have. Nobody in my lifetime like you have. And we're so grateful to you, and we wish you the best of luck in this race.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all your hard work.
Congressman Ron Paul today, and a great opportunity to speak with Congressman Paul, and a great opportunity now to make a contribution. Yes, in this moment, a great opportunity to help out. Everybody can help out. People listening to this program, you don't have to be a citizen of Iowa to help win a victory in Ames, Iowa. The first step to victory in the long presidential campaign of Congressman Ron Paul to help win a victory in Ames, Iowa at the Iowa straw poll. You can help by making a contribution to this money bomb today at, as you know, readyforames.com, AMES. That's the name of the town